is Michala and I will be presenting on what I learned in assessment this spring semester. During this presentation, I will be talking about three things: differentiation, rubrics, and my experience in Williamsport. When teachers use differentiated instruction in the classroom, they have set up unique instruction that meets the needs of every individual student in their classroom. You can differentiate by content, what is taught, process, how it is taught, or product, how learning is assessed according to the student's readiness, interest, or learning profile. Differentiation is guided by respectful tasks, which just means that you are asking all students to do the same amount of work. Whether the students are advanced or struggling learners, you need to be sure to make your assignments and other things equally challenging for the students. Differentiation is also guided by flexible grouping, which means there is a mix of struggling, average, and advanced learners during group activities instead of keeping each readiness level to a group of themselves. And differentiation is also guided by ongoing assessment and adjustment. It is important for teachers to use differentiated instruction in their classrooms because it is the only way that every student can be taught. We can't expect every child to understand things in the same way, so by differentiating the instruction, we are meeting their needs and their ability level. We've talked multiple times in class about how no child is a lost cause. It's up to us as a teacher to look at them, to analyze how they're doing and where they need help, and then make changes accordingly to our instruction. We can differentiate many different things within our instruction. Some examples I have here: anchors activities, flexible grouping, choices of books, and tiered lessons. As you can see on the side of the PowerPoint, the choices in purple are higher prep strategies, which just means they take a little bit more time prepping before class. And the choices in blue are lower prep strategies, which don't take as much time. Within the tiered lessons, we can differentiate homework, centers, and materials, and of course there are other things that we can differentiate as well that I haven't included on this slide. Some of the rubrics we discussed in class were holistic, analytic, and coaching. A holistic rubric consists of a single scale with all the criteria included in one valuation together. An analytic rubric is kind of like a grid, and it has the category that is being assessed on the left column, and then the levels of performance listed on the top row, and a description is given with each performance level and along with the category. A coaching rubric is more used for formative assessment by using different categories and check marks or something of that nature. The one thing that stood out to me while we went over rubrics in class was the scoring and how important it is to be specific in how you write out your rubric, because if you're not specific enough, you're not going to be able to grade the students fairly. Also, having fair expectations of the students. Your performance level shouldn't be something for 4th grade when you're grading, 2nd grade. And also have a mutual understanding between colleagues. If more than one person is using this rubric, make sure every person knows what the expectations are and every person is reading the rubric the same, because if not, the grades are not going to be valid or reliable. The third thing I want to talk about is my experience in Williamsport. I observed Ms. Koch in 2nd grade at Jackson Primary, and so many things about her classroom was just amazing to me. But one of the things that stood out to me was her classroom environment. It was just very welcoming and very colorful. She had the objectives on the board so that students could look at what they were expected to do for the day. She had posters everywhere. One that I really liked was one that said, "What stuck with you?" And the kids would either tack sticky notes up or just stick them onto the poster. And she also had PSSA posters, which I thought was pretty relevant to our class because we talked so much about how PSSAs kind of rule the school and the curriculum sometimes. And she also filled her room with the students' work. The students' work was on the walls, hanging from the ceiling. And when I asked her about it, she said that her students actually really get upset if their work isn't shown in the classroom, so she always tries to put their work up. Another thing that stood out in Miss Koch's class to me was her classroom management. One of the things she did was have the students raise a zero if the class is getting too loud, so she didn't even have to intervene. The students kind of just told each other that they needed to quiet down. Also, the objectives, I felt like that was a form of classroom management because the students were able to know, again, what was expected of them, which helped them to stay on task. And lastly, she did brain breaks. She would have marks on the board throughout the day if the students are doing something particularly well or being quiet, something like that. And if they got to a certain number, they would have a brain break. Brain breaks also happened if she just analyzed her classroom and realized that they had just too much energy and they needed to get up and do something before moving on with their work. While we were there, the students actually did a dance to a song. They had memorized dance moves to a song and they showed us, so that was pretty cool to see. The rapport that was shown in Miss Koch's class between her and her students was just amazing to me. We've talked so much about this in class, about how important it is to have the students trust you, and Mr. Starkey has given so many examples of how his students have trusted him. When I walked into this classroom and saw so much rapport, I was just completely surprised, honestly. I could tell that the students trust her. There were times to be serious, but they also knew sometimes it was okay to be silly. Some of the girls in the classroom actually made up a play, and they wanted to do dances. And at one point, the girl was asking Miss Koch if she could do flips, and as Miss Koch was trying to tell her no, like don't do that, the girl did the flip, and instead of freaking out about it, Miss Koch just laughed with her and was like, please don't do that again. So I thought that was really cool that she kind of picked her battles and saw it as something funny instead of something that needed to be reprimanded. And also, she actually told us during the observations that she was told before she started teaching to not smile until December, and she said that worked perfectly for her students because they knew that she was being serious and wanted them to succeed. But then later on in the year, when the rules have been established, she was able to kind of loosen up and enjoy more time with them. The last thing that really stood out to me in Miss Koch's class was the citizenship. The students with each other were so positive, and they were also always so polite to each other, always letting each other share things. The classroom also had a citizenship center. She said the students actually made the sign and decided where it would go. If the students at any time have a conflict with each other, then they go back to that center and calmly work it out instead of screaming at each other from across the room. She always encourages it, no matter if she's in the middle of a lesson or whatnot, because she doesn't want their conflict to interrupt or disrupt the other students around them. And one of my favorite things to witness in the classroom was when the students are working together and they would be answering questions or something of that sort. Ms. Koch would say, bump it up, and the students would just start clapping and supporting each other in their answer. So I thought that was really cool. To wrap it all up, I really learned a lot from this class. Even though I had this really put in perspective for me how useful rubrics are and how important it is to know your expectations and to be able to um, voice those expectations to the students in terminology that they would understand. And lastly, I was fortunate enough to have such a wonderful experience with Miss Koch. She really gave me good ideas on how to um, manage my classroom, implement strategies or ideas on how to encourage citizenship between the students, and to really build rapport with my students, because without that, I don't think that students would learn to the best of their abilities if they don't trust their teacher or believe that they have what's best for